Welcome
Hello
to the podcast, not another paranormal podcast. If we sound a little irritated, it's because this is not the first time we've recorded this. It's fine.
Or it's just that we hate each other.
Yeah.
You decide.
It's myself, Brittany, and I have a wonderful, lovely, fantastic, majestic, fantastical guest with me today. Her name is Jessica, or Jess. Jess, tell everyone about yourself again.
Oh, hi, I'm Jess. It's nice to meet you, Brittany. I definitely haven't told you this before. I'm also known as JessPlayin on the Twitch, as, 95-year-old women would say, like me. I'm a variety caster.
Hey, question. How would you describe Twitch.tv, the website, which we are frequently
It is a mess. I love it, but it is a hot mess.
I thought you were gonna... How would you describe it to old people? Like
how would I describe it to old people?
Yeah.
It's like sports, but for nerds. Like, how, you watch people play sports? It's like that, but you watch people play games.
I like that.
My mom calls it the twitching, which sounds like an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
You know what? That's okay. The twitching sounds great. That's adorable.
So I may be dead at the end of this. That may be the plot twist.
You may be the ghost, the first real ghost we've ever had on this podcast ever. If you'd like to check out the stream that Jess operates, the channel, the broadcasting channel that she operates, it is at twitch.tv/JessPlayin, spelled JessPlayin. Right?
Because I'm cool.
Yeah, she's cool.
I don't put the G on the end.
She doesn't put the G on the end, probably because someone took it, but that's fine. It's not the point.
Weirdly, no! No one had either when I
excuse me. You didn't put the G on the end? But no one had it? Did you take that one just in case?
Well, I just thought it sounded weird. It sounded too formal to me.
Did you take it just in case?
No.
Oh.
So there's probably a JessPlayin now.
Time for me to go to twitch.tv and log in
dude,
JessPlayin.
If you log in and you become JessPlayin right now, I will fight you like a Highlander. And you'll win.
They can only win.
And then you'll have a gerund and I won't. And I'll be dead also. And I'll be a real ghost. It'll be great. That'll be amazing. But I was shocked. But yeah, apparently nobody cared about that at that time. Now there are a bunch of JessPlayins.
Yeah, it's a bunch of JessPlayings. Playings.
Yeah.
Because playin doesn't have the ying to it. I don't know.
No.
English is hard, man. I don't like that. So I brought Jess on here to talk about not ghost things. I'm just kidding. We're still talking about ghost things, but neither of us believe in ghosts. And I thought that would be a breath of fresh air instead of a ghostly breath of cold air. I don't know where I'm going with all these.
Well, I mean, there are cold spots.
There are cold spots.
They're just because the finger, you're scared, so the blood's leaving your hands, so you feel cold.
I don't even get cold when I get scared. Like, I'm always hot. It's awful. It's not fun.
I'm always cold. So either I just have poor circulation, or there is a ghost that doesn't understand personal space always near me.
Oh my god, I never thought about that. Yeah. Maybe all the people in the world that are consistently cold all the time, maybe they just have ghosts haunting them, attaching themselves
That's
to
true.
them.
Probably.
Right before we had to restart this recording, Jess was enlightening me about Ghostbusters and how I did not remember that there was a part where Dan Aykroyd gets his dick sucked by a ghost. And I forgot about that for a very long time. And then I just watched it right before we restarted the recording.
Like where his pants come open, and it's just there is no Dana, only Ghost BJs.
The belt is undone. The pants go. He's kicking his legs in the air. Who the fuck let that happen? Who said this is appropriate?
We all blocked it. We all blocked it from our memories. Like, a tiny child has been watching that multiple times. My best friend has a tiny child that she made, that she lets watch that. And then she was like, no, you can't watch that anymore. Because now I'm aware that there's a ghost BJ in it. And I was like, that can't be real.
There's a ghost mouth going onto a real penis. It's real stuff, man. That's absolutely... And it was like a really pretty ghost, too. Like, she could have done way better than Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, yeah.
Way better.
I mean, I personally think Bill Murray is more attractive.
Mm-hmm.
She could have waited and done him instead. Like,
110% agree with you.
If you are a ghost listening right now, remember that you can still have standards. That's the thing that I would like you to know. So, like, if the ghosts are real, I just want them to do better.
I mentioned earlier that, okay, so you guys know Jess does not believe in ghosts. It's not that I don't believe in, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't think they're real. But I'm open to the idea of them being real. And I think Jess is also that way. But she doesn't invite them to be with her. Like, she doesn't hunt them.
That sounds like I exclude them from my birthday parties. Like, I'm writing out invitations. Casper's crying in the corner because it's like, well, I guess I'm not getting invited again. And I'm so friendly. I'm like, well, screw you, Casper. I would. If somebody had talking, any kind of evidence, I would be down to clown.
But I was talking yesterday with someone, and they were like asking me, "How's the ghost hunting going?" And I was like, "The ghosts don't really. Seems like they don't really want to hang out with me or anything like that because they really haven't been, around." And I was like, maybe ghost hunting is not the wording I should be using. Maybe I should be putting in the classifieds like, seeking ghost friend. I was like, what should I be doing differently to attract the ghost to me? I don't know. I am doing everything in my power that I can. So then I was like, woman seeking ghost. But now I don't want that BJ thing to happen to me. So maybe I need to rethink my life choices.
Just make sure that you say you're looking for a friend. Like they do on Tinder.
Do you really think male ghosts understand in the afterlife? You think men now understand that? So obviously ghosts aren't going to learn.
But, okay, yeah, that's true. I mean, they can just materialize, too. They have too much power.
At least they can't send me ghost dick pics, because they would just be nothing. It would just be air. Just like a picture of a bathroom. My phone starts getting haunted. It's just pictures of bathrooms. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's just a ghost trying to take a dick pic.
You can edit this out if you'd like. But
no. I'm going to keep it in, Jess.
If you get molested by a ghost, are you part of the hashtag #MeBoo movement?
Oh my god. You said me boo. You are so pleased with yourself.
I am.
Oh my god. Anyways, I'd like to point out we are not making fun of the hashtag #MeToo movement.
Oh no,
it's a very
not
serious
at all.
thing.
It's a very serious thing.
It is a very serious thing. It's just like, that was a good pun. Whew.
I'm just really bad at handling adult situations. It's not that I'm me. Like, I don't support these things, or that I'm not like, everybody should be treated well. I have to, if I see a pun, I'm 7 years old, so I have to do that.
I completely agree with you. I think it has to be done.
Puns are like a physical thing.
So, even though Jess doesn't believe in ghosts, belong in ghosts, I hope no one belongs in ghosts. Please. I'm going to have a load of Freudian slips because I saw Dan Aykroyd's penis get sucked by a ghost. What I was going to say is, even though Jess doesn't believe in ghosts, apparently her mom does. Or her mom has had ghost experience. I mean, I guess if you call them ghost experiences, then you believe in ghosts. Like, I don't think there's anyone that's like, oh, I don't believe in ghosts, but I've definitely fucked one. It's just...
That's no way to talk about my father. He's a very real man. She's okay. So I'm going to preface this as well, since I don't handle things, I don't words good. I love my mother, but this is also coming from a woman who once woke up, went to answer the door because someone was knocking at it, opened it up, was a UPS guy, and when I came back, I was like, oh man, I didn't even hear him come up the stairs, and she was like, oh, well, God told me he was here. And I'm like, one, why is God taking time out of his day to tell you about UPS deliveries? But this woman is connected in the spiritual world, so not to brag, but I've got some deep connections.
Your mom and my mom would get like, okay, well, I don't know if they'd get along super well, because, like, number one, my family is, like, if there was a family that could be considered the Antichrist, my family would be considered the Antichrist.
My mom was everyone, though. I feel like she's a very nice woman.
I know. Like, my family's very nice. It's just like when I'm around them, they don't have a filter. So it's like, how do I put this? Because I was born out of wedlock and my parents lived in a very southern state, they got a lot of hate mail and a lot of like scarily enough death threats because they wouldn't get married before having me. Yeah. And it was because they were so young. So like they have a lot of grudges against the church. So like when I say Antichrist, I mean like they will legitimately, like when we pass a church, they'll scoff. Or like they'll have to make some sort of like comment. And I'm like, oh my God. You do realize like I'm alive and everything is fine now. Like we're completely fine. We need to let this go. Like it is okay. Oh. But I think they also are really political and they've never told me that. You know what I mean? So I think everything that Republicans stand for, they absolutely hate. Also, for those of you that are just coming in and have never listened to this podcast before, my parents are huge hippies that used to have a pot farm back when it was very illegal. And they are stand up. They were the cool parents. If you're not a cool parent, you don't get that. You probably like had rules for your children and like curfews. Ha! I did not have those things. I'm sorry, were you scoffing because there was a church that you just passed?
Yep.
That's an ingrained, that's a genetic thing right there. I just thought about a church and I had to do it. But it's like, oh, my parents are so different than most people's parents in the South. So it's really hard for me to like... I was talking about this the other day. So Jess knows that I went to England and Scotland. And I didn't mention this to you, Jess, but like a lot of people there are very conservative. And if someone has like a really heavy accent, like a Scottish accent or like a really heavy like Cagney accent, and they're like talking about something really serious, like transgender issues, I legitimately cannot take them seriously. Like they're talking to me and they're like, I can't, okay. I'm not going to try and like fake an accent because I cannot get them as bad as these people sound. But they're like saying things like, I don't understand why a woman wants to be a man all of a sudden and like why men want to be women. I don't just change every day. And I was like, okay, when I hear this coming out of their voice, their mouths, their mouth holes, and they're saying words like dis and think instead of think, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot take this person seriously. I can't do it.
It makes it worse.
It does. And then I was thinking to myself while this woman was talking, I was like, these people also don't give a shit about you, so I don't know why you're like complaining to me of all people.
Like, maybe I just don't understand.
I don't know.
Like, was there someone around at that time? Like, why are you bringing this up?
You know, people in Scotland and like that area just thought that because we were white people that we were conservative or like we were Christians. And not to say that we're not, but it's just like they assumed that we were like right wing. And I was like, no, I think, you know, gay people should have rights, man. And like they should be able to marry each other and stuff. I know that sounds crazy, but one day you're going to die and it's not going to matter what you think anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know,
like other people's things shouldn't be your concern.
I know. I was just like, why can't you just stay in your lane? It's fine. But anyways, I just can't take anyone seriously that doesn't sound like us, which is very elitist. So I'm going to have to work on that.
Oh, that should forever be your tagline. Can't take anyone seriously who doesn't sound like us. Oh,
it's elitist. I'm an elitist, and I know that, and I realize that I have things that I have to work through, but at least they're not like church goer elitism. It's like it could always be worse. I could always be like, gays shouldn't be allowed to have the rights that I have because I am. I don't know what I was going with there because I'm very gay, so...
Yeah, like I don't even really have something to put in there either because I'm just like...
But before this goes off on a political tangent, let's talk about ghosts.
Oh man, This is the problem that we have when we get together. I feel like
it's fine.
Okay, so I have a ghost, which weirdly, it was all part of the plan because my mom saw a transvestite ghost once. All right, let's delve in.
Oh, let's start. All right, so describe your mother for me. I need visual images.
Oh, physically, okay. I was like, she's like 5. No, she's actually like about 5 foot. Brown hair. She looks like me if I was like 50. And drank way too much Pepsi, so my teeth were way more yellow. She drinks Pepsi like it's water.
You're just going in. Go on, go ham.
So she says that she saw a ghost once. So the way that my parents' apartment is there's like there are 3 levels. There are 3 stories.
Oh, so it's like
there's an attic apartment. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like 1800s neighborhood. Historic neighborhood. So this used to be what are these kind of called? There's like bed spaces. It was almost like what you would think of as a hostel now, but and it was converted into apartments. So she was in the 2nd floor apartment, and she came out and she saw the door to the attic apartment open. And as you do when things are just open, you just go in them because it's not like someone could be living up there and just have forgotten to close their door.
Right.
So she says she walked up there and she saw a ghostly looking man in the bedroom humming and dressing himself as a woman, and she got terrified and ran out.
Oh wow.
And I don't know if that was just a neighbor. Like I don't know if like he just was just really cold that day. Mm-hmm, but that's apparently one of her stories. Another one of her stories.
So did you jokingly said maybe she was drunk. Does she drink a lot?
No, she used to, but not anymore.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, and I don't know if alcohol was consumed at that time.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. You don't know if she was drinking too much. Have you asked her? You were like, Mom, were you drunk?
Were you imbibing on that good time juice?
Were you partaking of the devil's nectar?
You know? I did ask, and she said no.
Oh, okay. So we'll take her word on it, you know.
We'll take her word that she saw
Jessica, this. Certainly I wasn't.
That's exactly how she sounds.
Thank you. Okay, great. All right, so that's the first.
So the other one.
Is that the earliest? Or is that how?
That's the earliest. Okay. That's her, like, she says that, when she was younger, in her back bedroom and stuff, she would sometimes think that, it was really cold and that there were ghosts in there. But there's nothing that, like, an actual sighting of any kind. Gotcha. Mostly just, like, feelings. I feel like things are around me.
There was no cross-dressers back then.
No. Like, it was the 50s.
Cool. Sounds great.
Alright, so... Another one. And this one, I definitely know was during the period where she was not drinking. So she went into her kitchen. And in her kitchen, there is a window that's by her stove, and it overlooks this tree. Mm-hmm. Now, she's saying that when she looked out the window, she saw a little girl swinging from the tree, and she had, like, one of those old wooden swings, mm-hmm. like, from one of the branches. Oh, yeah. And she just was swinging there and swinging there and swinging there. And then when she went back to go do her stove stuff, she went back to the window, and the girl was gone.
The swing was gone, and the girl was gone?
Swing was gone, girl was gone, everything was gone. And I was like, okay.
What if she was, like, a trapeze artist, and, like, she swung up into
right? The tree? What if that was some, like, Cirque du Soleil ghosting out there, and you missed all of it? What if she was wanting attention?
Yeah.
Also, I was wondering, like, do ghosts just materialize other objects? Or did she have to, like, build that string, like, that swing? Like, did she have to construct it out of ghost wood?
Well, here's the thing. Like, clothes are not innately a part of a person, right? So, like,
so they had to materialize that. Unless they just, like, sew clothes every day.
That sounds like a lot of work. As a ghost, I'm going to sign on for being in a nudist colony and haunting a nudist colony, because that...
It is purgatory. Like, it's not going to be fun times.
That's a good question to ask you. That brings up a really good question. So, if ghosts were real, for instance, let's just propose that they are. Do you ascribe? Because I've talked about this before, and I'll explain my stance on it after I explain this to you and get your thoughts. So, do you think that those ghosts are actually sentient? like sentient people that are just like going about their day? Or do you think there's something else? Like, what do you think a ghost is when you think of ghost?
If I think of ghosts, I typically think of people that are just trapped in a kind of limbo, that are sentient, and are having something that they need to do to just go away, either to just the ether or some other kind of realm.
Gotcha. So you do think of it as like a purgatory.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
I feel like it's some sort of a limbo. I describe it to where it's like they haven't finished something that they need to finish.
Yeah. For the longest time, I thought that as well. And so I went to a ghost hunters convention, and like all these people were telling me their stories, and I started to get angry. And, well, you know, okay, first off, I have to say, even though I act pretty elitist at times, I am always like rooting and trying to help out the marginalized people. And in my mind, number one most marginalized person on this earth, what are they? Zombies. Okay. Number two, ghosts. All right. So we're not going to talk about zombies and cover zombies today, but I'll tell you, zombies are very... How dare you use zombies and disparage them in your Walking Dead show? And that's terrible. And you just use them for cheap labor. How dare you? Don't do that.
Yeah, well, also it's one of those things where I feel like zombies and ghouls are... Like, zombies have now become synonymous with ghouls, but, like, ghouls was its own thing.
Yes, ghouls are...
So that's, like, a whole... Like, I have a whole another zombie issue, too, because I feel like the zombies that we think of today are not really zombies, they're more ghouls.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
But then we're going to get on a tangent.
Ghosts are also marginalized. And it's just like, okay... If they are actual people that are needing help to cross over into their next realm of life, why aren't you helping them? Why do you just have all these stories, one story after another, of just meeting ghosts and trying to meet ghosts, and you're not trying to help them? Why are you just gathering evidence, and why are you not helping them cross over? And so this is what a lot of people said to me. They said that most of the ghosts, 90% of the ghosts that you meet, are not sentient. So they're more like impressions that someone left behind. And typically, a person leaves behind impressions of themselves if they had a traumatic death, and then that trauma leaked over into the other traumatic or really intense periods of their life. So, for instance, that girl could have been really happy and experiencing a really intense emotion when she was on the swing, and that's why that was left there. And so it's just like impressions of people that you can pick up, and you pick up that memory of that person, but you don't get anything else. So that's why they were saying they don't try, unless they think it's sentient, but then also, come to find out, sentient spirits are not always ghosts. Sometimes, and this is another reason why people tend to not like try to figure out if something is sentient or not, because if it is and it clearly seems to be sentient, it could be a demon pretending to be a ghost and trying to like fuck you over,
just entice you over.
Well,
they give you candy to get in the limbo man.
You know what's crazy is they typically pose as little girls.
Oh, so it could have been a demon?
Yeah.
That would have been badass.
And so the reason why is because they want to get a hold of people. Like, they want to be able to attach themselves to people on the other side to bring them to hell. And so, like, they want any sort of connection to a person on this earth so that they can pull them to hell, because they know they've already lost in the sense of religious context. So
do you think they would try to attach themselves to people they see as weak?
Yes, weak or...
Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, oh god, Lights Off?
Lights Off.
Have you ever watched that?
No.
It's an amazing movie.
Is it
but it's essentially, it's basically about this demon that attaches itself to this woman with severe depression.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Like, I highly recommend it, particularly if you're interested in spooky stuff. It's awesome.
In my opinion, demons are depression. So, back in the day when people were like, oh, she's acting very different. She's always sad now. And then people would be like, she needs an exorcism. I'd be like, she actually is just depressed. And, yes, that could be a form of demon, but she just needs medical attention.
Like, honestly, I've always got a little girl swinging in my heart.
You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah. That is actually what I consider to be real demons. I think people do have some spirituality to them, and like they can feel happier when connected to a spirituality, but I think it's more that people in a religion tend to take better care of themselves and tend to have more fellowship with people that are like-minded, and so they end up feeling better, and they have a better routine because they go to something every week, and they
I feel like it's more of a sense of hope. Like it grounds you to something.
I can see that too. I can also
like
see
if you're
that.
not, well, just if you don't really have that, then it's kind of like you're just kind of walking around. But if it's like, oh, I've got this sense of community, I've got these people that also share my beliefs.
Right.
And it kind of just connects you to things.
It
feels like it's more connected.
I've been reading this book by, what is his name? Jordan B. Peterson, which he's an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't suggest buying his book. Just pirate his book. I am actually telling everyone on the podcast, if you're interested in the book that I'm about to describe, pirate his book because he's an awful human being. It's called 12 Rules for Life. And he's actually been talking about how religion has influenced our humanity as a whole very intensely. And now that people are leaving religion, it's creating more depression because, yes, it's that sense of hope. And then it's also losing a community. So, for instance, like you were saying, people believe in the same thing together. And then they feel safer because the more people that believe, the more it justifies their beliefs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and there's strength in numbers, mentally and physically. So the more people that believe, the stronger your belief becomes because you think that you're in the right. And then also the less number of people that there are in the opposing religions, so to say, the safer you feel because the unknown is what is the scariest to people. So that's kind of like why religion was created in the first place. We're getting into really philosophical shit today.
It's Jess. One of those things. It's a mob mentality.
Yeah,
which isn't always a bad thing for some people. It depends on how far you take it.
Exactly.
Like that's always been my issue. A lot of more spiritual, religious belief. How culty are you on a scale of 1 to Jim Jones? Like, what are you?
Who is Jim Jones?
Oh my goodness!
I don't know a lot about cults.
Jim Jones was the leader of this cult. He started some churches in Indiana, and he did a lot of good things. Like he helped a lot of impoverished people. He was helping poor neighborhoods in Indianapolis, like helping pay their electricity bills and doing all this other stuff. And then he just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And he ended up going to Guyana and building a place called Jonestown. And he's most famous for a giant massacre where he convinced all of his cult members to drink. It's falsely mentioned as Kool-Aid a lot of the time. But it was actually Flavor Aid mixed with poison.
Oh, he's the guy that made the thing where everyone drank the stuff and died.
Yeah. Where you get the phrase, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Like when talking about like mild mentality.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. That's Jonestown and Jim Jones.
Oh,
so
I had no idea. Jim
one of the
Jones.
big
Interesting.
I read a bunch of books on him, and there's actually going to be apparently a documentary about him called cool. Raven, which was based off one of the big biographies of his work, I guess. That's what we call it. His life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things. Like it's how far are you going? Like my mom is extremely religious, and like she'll
when you say extremely religious, what do you describe extremely religious? Like does she sacrifice goats in God's honor? I'm just wondering.
Only on Fridays, so I don't know.
Only on Fridays. What about during Lent? Probably not on Lent. Wait, no. Fridays is the one day you can eat meat in Lent.
Yeah.
Exposed.
But no, she enjoys, but she also likes Joel Osteen a lot, who I think it's one of those things. She reads books about him, and if you say anything bad about Joel Osteen, she gets upset. But she's fine. She's harmless. She doesn't really go and push her beliefs on other people.
See, that's nice. You know what? That it just gives her comfort, and as long as she's not voting for Trump, I'm fine.
Yeah,
like
she's just doing her own little thing.
Okay.
I think whatever gives you a sense of connectedness and hope is a good thing.
Yeah. Oh
just
my God,
be aware
110%.
of be aware of, I really like Luigi, but I'm not going to go and tell you you're wrong for not liking Luigi,
Because I like Yoshi, right? Exactly.
Yeah, because you like Yoshi. Well, Yoshi's kind of cool too. I can see why you like Yoshi.
And I can see why you like Luigi with his death stare after he passes someone in Mario Kart. Yeah.
He's a boss-ass bitch.
He's very scary.
He's very scary. I feel like he's like me. Like, I feel like he's kind of like chill, and then I get that road rage where I'm like, what are you doing? Like, can you not? Please. That's how I feel about Luigi, just in general. That's his general aura is, can you not, please?
So,
what are you doing?
For your mom's, are those the only 2 experiences that your mom has had?
Those are the 2 sightings she's had.
So
I thought she had more, but no.
It's interesting that she has had sightings and she believes in ghosts, even though they're not biblically canonical.
Right? But she's really not a big canon girl.
She reads the Apocrypha. It's fine.
It's just she doesn't really do jot and tittle. Like, she's going here, she's going there. Like, she kind of picks and chooses, I think, which is a lot of that. But
God, you're going in for the kills today. I agree.
I'm sorry.
It's good. I mean, I'm not saying them, so no one knows my stance. But that's fine. I like how you feel because I agree with it. I'm not going to say it. You said it, but I agree with it.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get so much hate mail. I'm going to get things.
No one's going to give you hate
Yoshi's tired to my door.
Everyone agrees. I think most people your mom would probably agree if you pressed her and you were like, Mom, don't you really kind of like pick and choose like the things that you feel stronger on and you let some other things slide? And she'll probably be like, because that's how, exactly. That's what we all do. We all like have these things where like, okay, this is my no tolerance zone. And then these are the things I'm like, on. And then I have like my slide zone. Like the things that I'll just let, I'll eat shrimp. It's fine.
Like, I mean, technically she has, body piercings, which are against...
That's the thing.
Technically.
I think that body piercings are against the modern church, like really, really conservative modern churches, but it's in, like, people had nose rings, and nose rings are, like, God... Okay, not to be super religious and, like, show off my seminary skills today, but in the Bible, there's, like... God says that he will adorn you with nose rings and with different rings and stuff like that. And that's, an exact quote from when he's talking about and personifying, the church as a person, and Israel as a person. And it's just like, I think fundamentalist Christians have really just like twisted things so that they gain power and they're able to suppress more and more people. So I think your mom's a stand-up gal.
Yeah,
I don't know
she's a nice lady.
Ghosts are real, but
it's one of those things. Like I feel like she doesn't really think of them in terms of that. Like they're almost 2 separate things. I don't even think she puts the 2 together. Where I think that in some ways, to her, she does believe in angels, and she does believe in like
demons.
Oh, I guess you could kind of think of this as ghosts. It's more. Like, she kind of thinks of it more as angels, but it's really kind of ghosts in an interesting way. Like, they kind of overlap.
Oh, for sure.
Like, she kind of believes that her parents follow her around. So, like, they were at a Christmas tree shop.
Yeah.
And both of her parents really like cardinals. And she was looking at this one ornament. And then she kind of walked away from the ornament. And apparently it just fell off the tree and kind of, like, rolled towards her. But there was nothing that was obviously there that could have made it fall off the tree.
Right.
So she was thinking it was like, oh, it's the fact that they were watching and want to do that. So there's also kind of that. So I think in some ways it's interesting how that overlaps as well.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and I asked her too, I was like, what do you kind of determine as a ghost and what do you kind of determine as an angel? And she was thinking that everybody that she mentioned was an angel was someone she knew personally. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, what if, like, the little girl was an angel? You don't know, necessarily.
Yeah, what if that was her mom?
Herman.
But, like,
yeah,
from a long time
just
ago.
in a different form.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting, particularly when you were talking about like penumbras almost of people, where it's like the shadowy outline of someone, a strong impression.
For sure.
So like, what if that's like your mom, like having a childhood, so that's the impression that you see, but it's not
super spooked if my mom haunts me, because
I'm gonna be embarrassed more than anything else.
Well, me and my mom look exactly alike. And so there's like, what, I mean, I'm like being serious. Just
Same.
To the point where we look at child photos and we have to look on the back for dates, or we have to look for landmarks to see who it was actually taken. Oh my God, I'll just bring you 2 photos and I'll make you guess. I'll bring 2 that are.
I'll have to send you some of mine.
You will freak out. We look different now, but like, that's because I dye my hair purple. and
like, there's a photo of my mom and her family when she was like younger, and it looks like I time traveled. Like, I feel ya.
Yeah. Well, it's also my mom had me when she was really young. So like, my grandmother was in that. You know how when we turn 20, and then then we turn 40, and we look at almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Because she had me when her whole family was so young. So people in that age range don't really age very quickly. Like, it's not until you get into your 50s that you really start to age. And so I see them, I'm like, I don't know who this is because everyone's so young and I'm so bad at judging age. Like, I can't tell the difference between younger versus older if it's within like 10 years or so. Like, I can see and be like, this one looks a little younger. Like, I can look at my wedding photos, which are almost 10 years old, and be like, yeah, I look younger there because I look naive and full of joy. You know? Just kidding. I'm
sorry to hear things are going well.
I love my husband. He's fantastic. I'm just saying, he's fantastic, and I would not change a thing about him. He is so wonderful. It's just like, when you think that I got married when I was like 19, and it's just like, I thought it was going to be easier than it has been. It's fine.
Ain't that always the way?
Yeah.
I bet I've only known Shatoken in like a year and a half. I'd probably look way more happy. Like,
everything is just easier in our heads than living through it every day. It's fine. It's cool.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. I was going to ask you, so moving on from your mother, which I will tell you, okay, if it makes you feel better, my mother absolutely believes in ghosts. And not only that, she thinks that a ghost attached to her when she went to Louisiana. She went to Nolens, as we say it down here. And she went to Nolens, and she believed that the first time she went there, a ghost attached to her, a young girl, coincidentally. And
any particular reason why she thinks that?
Okay, so what happened was she went there, she started feeling weird, she came back home. She didn't feel weird immediately. She was there for a couple days, then they went to go see some sights. She loves the food down there, which is fantastic. Then they came back. And my mom is not someone that misplaces things, to the point that I think that she has some form of obsessive compulsive disorder. Like, every time we would come home, we had like a specific place to set our backpacks. And if our backpack wasn't in this specific spot, we would get yelled at. Not like, it wouldn't be like my parents didn't abuse us, but she'd be like, why isn't your backpack in your backpack spot? Like, why isn't it there? It's not that hard.
Parental chat, like, not like abusive, but just like, why are you not putting this here?
Yeah, she's just like, why didn't you just do what I asked? It's not that hard. And so everything had its place. Like, everything has its place in her house. So she comes home, and then apparently what ends up happening is her favorite jacket, which my mother has lupus, and she has the external form, which means that she's allergic to sunlight. And if she gets too much sunlight in a day, she will break out in hives. Her skin is very, sensitive to it. So she has a favorite jacket. It's a very lightweight jacket. It's white, so it reflects the heat very well. She loves it. And so she has 2 of them. And so they start to go missing. And it's like no one else is home. And she has just put her jacket down. And then it goes missing, and she cannot find it. Like, she cannot find this jacket that she had just put down. And so She goes looking for it. Cannot find it, cannot find it, cannot find it. Leaves to go to work. Just grabs like a different jacket that's not her favorite. And comes home and it's in the exact spot that she thought she left it. But she had just checked that before going to work. And
Kids, am I right?
No one else. No, my brother doesn't live with her. My brothers don't live with her. They live in...
Like that you said it was a little girl that attached herself. Or was it just a girl?
She says that she can feel the energies, and that's why she thinks it's a little girl. But I don't know. She's a crazy person. She's a crazy person. So, and like I said, she's not religious. So she just is very spiritual. She's like, you know that we descend from a long line of gypsies. And I'm like, yes, mother, you have told me this. Please don't freak me out more than I'm already freaked out by you. Please.
That's something I say to my mother every day. Please don't freak me out any more than I am already freaked out.
It's just like, God, Mom, you don't have to lay it on so heavy. Like, thank you for reminding me of our heritage, our grand heritage of ghosts attaching themselves to us. Just, oh my God. So, beyond that, beyond our mothers being insane, crazy people, you said that there was some stuff that happened in Indianapolis?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
So there are a few areas in Indiana that are apparently extremely haunted. One of them was actually someplace I worked at, which I didn't even realize until getting ready for this. I was like, oh, I'm curious. Where are these places? One of them is the Benjamin Harrison House.
So what is the Benjamin Harrison House?
It is President Benjamin Harrison's house. That's it.
Wait. Like, Benjamin Harrison was the president?
Yeah.
Wait. What? Okay, I'm gonna look this up. Benjamin Harrison. He was our 23rd president. That's not important to me. I'm going to forget that.
You're just learning so much today. Ghosts, BJs, presidential candidates.
He was the grandson of the 9th president. Did you know that?
Yeah. He became president in 1888. I do know that.
He died in that house. Did you get haunted by him? Did he pinch your butt?
If I was lucky. I mean, I hear it's a great honor for any kind of presidential candidate to do that. But I was just thinking, like, I never got haunted by that. But apparently, it was always cold in there, but I just kind of assumed it's because they had,
air conditioning?
That it was the air conditioning or some sort of vent. But apparently it's known where he will apparently walk around. And I do remember hearing when they were giving the tours that there is this one record player, and apparently late at night that will turn on.
Oh.
And play things.
Nice.
But I did think it was interesting. Apparently Benjamin Harrison thought that he was haunted.
by his grandfather.
Yeah, and there's actually a quote from him that I really liked that was, "Great lives do not go out, they go on," which I thought was a really cool ghosty quote.
That's very nice. So
it's like the sweetest ghosty thing.
How did you work in this house? Like, what were you a tour guide?
I was doing 3D scanning of all of his furniture for the library I was working at the time.
You're a good archivist. Have I ever told you that?
Oh, thanks!
I've always thought that you were a great archivist.
I really want to get back into it. I've strayed too far from the archival path. But it was one of those things I would just stand in his parlor and scan a bunch of his stuff. What was interesting is, like, stuff I don't think I was there enough to notice a haunting if it was happening. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel that I might have dissed a president because things would move, but it's like there are 20 people in there. Any one of them could have moved it. So if it was Benjamin Harrison,
you're saying that people move shit in the house?
Yeah.
Were they not supposed to touch all the time?
Well, the thing is, people would move the stuff around because it was a huge tour site for children. But children don't have manners. So they would come in and they would just wander around. In fact, when I was there one time, I just heard like screaming, and I kind of came out of the parlor area to look, and there was this kid just sitting in one of the chairs, and it was like a one-of-a-kind chair, and the bottom wasn't really braced anymore. And one of the tour guides was just like, "How was there?"
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Like, child, please leave.
I'm like, I'm glad we got a 3D version of that before, because that's not happening.
I'll tell you a funny thing. So, I don't know, there was a whole reason behind why ghosts are more active at night, but I'll tell you a quick funny story that I just learned. Apparently my grandmother said that there was a ghost in her house before my uncle moved out of it. Just so you guys know, for preface, my uncle didn't move out of my grandmother's home until he was almost 50. So, there you go. That's how much of a catch he is. But he's getting married, so he's off the market, ladies. Off the market. So, my grandmother said that while he was still living there, there was a ghost who would visit him. Because she said her bedroom was right below his bedroom. Right? So my grandmother and my grandfather, their bedroom is on the bottom floor, and his bedroom is on the first floor. And so she said she could hear someone walking around his room in high heels.
What?
At late at night. And so she thought it was a ghost. And I immediately thought, well, this is one of two things. Either he's having ladies over, or he's wearing heels, which both are viable. Both are very viable. I mean, he is now no longer there in the house, and mysteriously, after he left, no more ghost heel lady. And so my grandmother swore up and down she thought it was a ghost. I was like, that's too much of a coincidence for him to have left and the ghost is just gone. I don't think that's a ghost. I think that was a lady. Or him, you know.
There's just a couple of times where it's like, we got a friend who was freaking out because she lived in an older house. And like, oh, this one door just opens. But then, you know, she oiled the door and kind of fixed the door up and then it stopped opening. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was, you know, the house expanding, contracting, kind of moving in the night and it's just popping open.
I'm going to give
like,
you
it's a little too coincident.
My bedroom door opens all the time. And it is, in fact, because they didn't put the thing in correctly. When they drilled the hole in for the notch.
They didn't drill that hole properly.
They didn't. Well, they drilled it too far into the door sill, so you have to really push the door completely closed and let it click, so you know that the little brass. What is that part called? It's not a lock. It's just like the metal. Is it a latch?
It's not like a latch, but
yeah, I guess so. Maybe, but you know what I'm talking about. The thing
that
I
can visualize it.
Out, and then you can. Mm-hmm. It's a springy, loaded latch. Anyways, regardless, I have to push my door completely closed and then push it a little bit farther because they drilled in too far. So I have to push my door further than it's really supposed to go to actually have it closed all the way. Because if you just close it, it's going to come back open all the time, constantly. So that lady, she's fine. She's not haunted. I will come to her house and I will perform a ghost hunt. I mean, a woman seeking ghost
We
ritual.
could get that couple's ghost kit that I sent you.
Wait. Ghost kid?
The ghost kit? Like,
the
kit
ghost
from Knight Rider?
Are you trying to take me on a date? We're trying to get romantic up in here? I mean, I'm
just trying to solve some ghosts, alright?
I'm taking you to the Winchester house, so I hope you're prepared.
I'm Ghostbuster in a nut.
Oh, good God. Oh, my Jesus Christ. I'm never going to not unsee that in my mind.
No, it's just anytime I make a Ghostbuster thing, you're just going to see Dan Aykroyd's face. Like, that's all you're going to see. You're not going to remember any of the good
I'm just going to see his crotch, if I'm going to be honest with you. His tidy bodies were very hard to miss. Whew.
But yeah, we need to get that couple's ghost hunting kit and solve crimes in a mystery machine.
Done.
That's
I don't want a mystery machine, first of all. We're not that much of a hippie couple at this point in time.
Yeah.
And I have 2 dogs, not just one. So it's very difficult.
But that's why you need a mystery machine.
Mystery machine. That's where we toke up before we go see ghosts. I mean, hallucinate. I mean, whatever.
Okay, so I did have to tell you. So there was one place, and I found out about this. And I was like, this is the greatest ghost story I've ever heard because it's the most ghost. If I was a ghost, this would be me. Okay. So there was an Indiana governor named James Whitcomb.
Whitcomb?
And yep.
Did you say Dick
Whitcomb Riley?
Whitcomb. I'm just kidding.
Whitcomb. Oh my God. Whitcomb is Ghostbusters. So he donated, when he died, his extremely large library to the DePaul University, which is in Greencastle, Indiana. It used to be known as Ashbury University, but I don't remember. It was like in the 1800s. But apparently, there have been multiple sightings of him bitching ghostly about people borrowing his shit. Like, that is his thing. He will just appear and bitch about the fact that people borrow his books. Yes. But I was reading about this, and the amazing story. So this guy comes in, it's a little boy, and he looks through Wickham's books, and he decides he's going to borrow this thing called the Poems of Ossian. So he takes it home.
Poems what?
Oh, Ossian? Like Ossian.
Okay.
Probably mispronouncing it.
But no, you're fine.
So he takes it home, and there was a sighting of Whitcomb that same night. He popped out of nowhere and was like, "Where's my Ossian? Who stole the Ossian? Oh my God!" Like, he's just freaking his shit out. And the boy gets wind of this, and he takes it back and just returns the book and never goes there again. But apparently there have been multiple sightings of, if people take out books, there is a chance that James Whitcomb Riley will show up and bitch your ass out. Like, that is the most me ghost, because I will give friends books, and then they will not return them, and I will be like, "Where is my Ossian? Yeah. What the hell?" Like, and I was like,
actually, we don't lend books out anymore just because of that. Purely because Joe has not received like a whole series of books yet back from someone. So he was
if you were curious, don't do it.
Yeah.
And don't give your library away, because you'll end up in purgatory, constantly never getting your books back.
Oh my God, that would be awful.
That is like a Twilight Zone episode, right?
Yeah.
It's like all the time in the world at last. But he just has his books constantly lent out, and he never gets them returned. And he's just wailing. Right? He never gets to read the books. He can't enjoy them. He just constantly gets to look at a shelf that gets books taken out, and he doesn't know if they're ever coming back or not. Oh, and I was like, that hit me. That, like, hit me in my feel space. I was like, I don't, like, if ghosts are real, I feel so bad right now.
Yeah. But they aren't, so it's fine.
Yeah. But I thought that was the greatest thing. I was like, that's the most me ghost move ever. So, like, where's my shit?
Do you believe in any, like, cryptids? Do you know what cryptozoology is?
A little bit. I'm not too familiar with it.
Okay, so, like, Yetis, do you believe there's a Bigfoot?
No.
Is there a Bigfoot afoot? No.
No. I don't think so. Like, I typically just don't think there's a Bigfoot. I feel like it's just like blurry photography of, I don't think there's a Loch Ness monster. Like, I don't really think that those things, I think they could be explained with research.
I used to think, like, oh, I mean, there's so many animals we haven't found yet, so possibly if this was a really smart creature, elusive creature, I totally see that. I don't particularly think it could live for hundreds of years and still survive now, especially if people were like hunting for it.
Its size.
At first, when I learned about it, it's just like, I get that from a scientific perspective, because so many people find so many animals nowadays and get them named after themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it makes sense. And I was like, okay, I'm down with this. But then, like, I started reading, and, like, apparently Native Americans believe that Bigfoot can, like, travel through dimensions, and that's how he, like, eludes everyone, because he's just, like, moving over different planes of existence, and so sometimes we can't perceive him. And I was like, okay, maybe he's not real, because he is very
I hope that Bigfoot is a ghost. I hope that's, like, what we've all... Bigfoot is a ghost. Confirmed.
Maybe.
He's just, it's an apparition.
Could be.
But I feel like that would be amazing. Can Bigfoot be the new Doctor? Doctor Who? He's traveling through time and space.
So, I would ask you, Jess, as a skeptic, because I am asking you and I don't have to answer the question. How can you attribute ghosts to not being real if there's so many people that have experienced them?
I feel like I'm gonna come across as a dick through most of this podcast, but I feel like I don't want to like discount people's experiences, because I feel like some of them, there's not enough information to say if it was real or not. So it could very well be. But a lot of the ones that you get can be explained with a little time and research. So it's like, well, the clicking heels. It's like, well, look at this logically. Like, this is happening every time X thing happens, then X thing disappears, and it no longer happens. Or like, well, you could have possibly just not seen that. Or, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I went to a psychic, and they knew all this information. It's amazing. And I feel like sometimes she's like, well, no. Like, cold reading is a big thing that I was always fascinated with as a kid, because there's such general statements. It's like, oh, you love, I feel like you're the type of person that really loves to go out and party, but then you also like to stay home occasionally and do that. Well, that's a general statement. That's literally everyone does that. They like to go out. Sometimes they like to stay in. Sometimes, like...
Jess, would you like me to give you a tarot reading sometime?
That'd be amazing. I would actually love that. I missed the last tarot reading you did. Like, Satiric said you did one for me, and I missed it, and I was super bummed about it.
Did I do one for you?
Mm-hmm. You did one for me, and he told me what the results were, and I can't remember, but it was kind of like vaguely ominous.
Vaguely ominous. Like, oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, it couldn't have been that bad, because if it was really terrible, I would have remembered. If it had been like Three of Swords, the Tower, and then the Hermit, I would have been like, oh shit, Jess is in for a real rough time. But like, if it was, you know what I mean? So like, there's typical like really, really bad cards, which are kind of like, the Tower is never great. Never. It's Three of Swords is never great. But it's like, if like, there's one card that means like broken childhood dreams and shattered families. Like, I didn't draw that card for you. So,
no. I feel like you probably would have called me immediately and been like, you should go home. Final Destination is happening today.
Final Destination.
But it's one of those things. I feel like, to me, I know that I don't think that ghosts are real, mostly because I feel like if you have a situation and you look at the situation from all angles and you have all the pieces of information, you can most likely explain that away.
Right.
It's because I feel like ghosts is a way of being like, I don't understand what's happening here, so I'm trying to find an answer, and this makes sense, which I think is valiant, because you're trying to find a reason why this is happening.
Gotcha.
So, but I feel like there might be something that you're missing.
Yeah. So, question. So, how do you feel about EVPs? Do you know what EVPs are?
Yeah, like electronic voice phenomena. It's interesting. I like white noise readings a lot.
So, I
but they're so hard.
Okay. So I have like a personal like, okay, so I have an opinion on this. EVPs, if they are clearly heard, I tend to believe that they did happen. However, if someone primes you and tells you what it's saying beforehand, it makes me angry, and I discount that completely, because you shouldn't need to be primed in order to understand it, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you ever watch Shane Dawson on YouTube? It's just
like from time to time, not like a lot.
So he has a 3-part series that's when he went and visited the Queen Mary. You went to TwitchCon last year, right?
Yep.
Did you go to the TwitchCon party?
No, I didn't want to wait in the line.
No, it was terrible. Oh my god, it was so fucking bad. But anyways, it was at the Queen Mary, which is a haunted ship. And I'm sure if I call the Winchester Mystery House, maybe they're going to tell me that TwitchCon is taking it over. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if I'm right or wrong or whatever. But so he does a couple of different things where he records people asking questions and whatnot. And 3 times in that entire show, he does not prime you for what is said. All 3, he never primes you. He never says, oh, I think it said this. He always says that afterwards, like in his reaction. So like one time there was his, it was him and then his boyfriend, and then his boyfriend's sister, and they all asked different questions, and I could understand the answer to every single one. And so it was either really well edited, or it was completely legitimate, and it's like the best EVPs I've ever heard.
Like, it's one of those things, I have to say, as much of a skeptic as I am, if you can freak me out with something, it's EVPs. That's the thing that freaks me out. Because sometimes I know it's probably, what is it called? Jesus. It's like, you're trying to find connections in that. So, like, your brain is constantly, like, when you're looking at objects, it's looking for faces and things. Mm-hmm. Same thing with your ears. Like, it's trying to pick up things and trying to understand stuff. So it's probably just apophenia, but there's something, like, sometimes I'll be on the phone and I hear, like, creepy, garbled shit, and it freaks me out. That's the thing that freaks me out. I don't know why.
The thing that freaked me out is the fact that it was so clear, a person's voice. And, like, it was really weird because, like, if there is ghosts, the ghost that was following them around, or the ghost that was near them whenever they were asking the questions, seemed to be taunting them. And so, like, for instance, Morgan, who is Shane's boyfriend's sister, she said, "Say something." And then it immediately said something. Like, the word something. And I was like, what the fuck? And she freaks out. Yeah. She freaks out when she plays it back. And then she plays it again without saying anything. And then she says, "Did it say something?" And that's what is the most heavy evidence. But the problem is, I don't know that they didn't edit it in. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I would really... And so, like, EVP has always been one of those things I would love to go on, like, an actual ghost hunt and actually do those. So you could see. Because, like, when you're watching these kind of ghost hunter shows, you don't know what they've edited. It's like watching Chris Angel's Mind Freak, like a lot of his bigger stuff. He had stooges all over the place. Like, and it's one of those things, you're not seeing the whole picture. So it's like, magicians get pissed because it's like, well, we can't even determine how this trick is done because you're hiding 4 things.
Speaking of magicians, you're an apprentice magician. Is that?
Yeah. My dad was a magician, which is also why I think I'm a little more skeptical of things, because it's you grow up learning, like, well, how's that trick done? Like, there's an explanation to everything.
Go to magicians and then, like, okay, so for the record, I hate magicians.
I don't like magicians either, so I was gonna say I don't really go to magicians.
I felt like you would have a kinship with me with that, because my brothers were obsessed with magicians, and they made me watch stupid magician movies all the time, and they were like, oh my god, terrible.
You should watch Magicians with David Mitchell and Robert Webb. It's a comedy about magicians, and it's the most hilarious thing.
I will have to look that up. Oh my god, that sounds like my dream come true. So
I'll have to send you a link.
It's mostly like all the crazy great magic is fake, right? Yeah.
Yep. So it's kind of like wrestling. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Wrestling. Oh, so do you believe in any sort of magic?
No, like before our first recording, I made this joke that the only magic I believe is in a young girl's heart, and I stand by that.
All right. So,
like, I don't really think it is. But you were going to make me a believer. Hit me.
I'm going to make you a believer. So I'm really big into self-care and stuff, You're well aware.
Yeah, I know. Like, you actually are super inspirational.
Oh my god, okay, this is not a feelsy cast, okay? Alright, stop.
Well, I have been the worst guest. Like, we have gone on so many tangents, so I will make you feel things. Alright?
It's good. I like it. So, I've come to learn, I've been reading a spell book. It's called Basic Witches. Like Basic Bitches, which is...
Oh my god. So, I would read that.
I know, because it's a pun. So it's called Basic Witches. It's by Jaya Saxena and Jess Zimmerman, and they are pretty fantastic ladies. One of them survived.
Do you use pumpkin spice and everything?
No, actually, no. I wish. That would be amazing. So it's pretty much like how to summon. It's called How to Summon Success, Banish Drama, and Raise Hell with Your Coven, which I'm really into. But these ladies, like one of them survived 9/11, and
Damn.
she's amazing. But she had
awesome.
like a crazy fear of being infected with anthrax when it was happening, you know, like when everyone was getting them. And so like her building was actually hit with one of those mailings where they actually had the anthrax. And so she was freaking out every single day, like, did she have the symptoms of being infected? And so she started to do a spell. And she started to, she looked up some stuff online, and then her friend confirmed this thing. He was like, oh yeah, if you carry this around with you, it'll be fine, because anthrax can't manifest if such and such happens if you're carrying this with you. And so even though she did not believe in the science of it, her brain was like, okay, if I have this with me, that won't happen. Even though she knew she didn't have anthrax, it was just a way for her to calm her brain down and stop freaking out about it. Right?
Yeah.
And so
like
that's pretty much modern witchcraft. It is taking, it's taking something that's good, taking like a routine or a habit or some sort of practice that's good mentally for you, and having you do it routinely, like in spell work, to create a good habit or a good routine to then make you feel better overall. And so that's all modern witchcraft is. That's all that magic really is. It's all mentality. And I think it's really interesting because I think a lot of people think of witchcraft. Okay, for instance,
they lump it in with Satanism, which it's not.
So there's actually two different kinds of satanic witches. There's ones that are aligned with the Church of Satan, which you know is not, like, they don't believe Satan's real. They believe Satan is a concept of humanism and things like that. So that's one kind. And then there's the ones that worship Satan and do believe he's real. And they're called Llewellyn. And the Llewellyn witches are the ones you gotta fucking watch out for because they believe that they gain power from him. But it's just the power of intention that manifests in real ways for people. Yeah. So, for instance, Jess, what is something that you get bothered by every day? Do you have like little annoyances? Is there anything that bothers you every day?
Well, like, I mean, I guess it's kind of, what do you mean by that? Can it be something like rude people, or?
For instance, Jess, are you bad at taking compliments? Because you're fantastic.
Oh, thanks. No, I'm a narcissist.
Oh my god, me too.
I'm bad. I don't know. I guess I'm. Oh shit. There's so many things that I'm very insecure about. So there's a lot of stuff I don't take well.
For instance, if there's just like insecurities that you have, there are kind of like what witches would call spells, which are just routines where you routinely remind yourself of your worth. And you can even practice it in a group of people, which would be a coven, but it would just really be a support group. So it's kind of just like psychology. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize how much this is just mental stuff. Like, it's just, but it does help. It genuinely helps people. And so that's what I found to be really interesting. It's just like making peace with your body. And then I found out, like, okay, for instance, Joe's family is very religious. And so there was a time in Joe's brother's life where he was very resentful and very bitter of a lot of things because his family had wronged him in different ways. And he was very, like, he would be okay with it at like holidays and things like that where he was spending time with people, but there was like certain times he would just like snap or get really angry with them very easily, and it was because he was holding on to like some bitter shit in the past. And he went and bought like this Christian devotional book, and it actually told him to do like this witch petition spell, but it didn't label it as that. But essentially what it is you take a sheet of paper and you write down everything that you feel bitter about and all the people that you feel bitter about. And then you get a bowl that's like heat proof. You put a little fire in the middle of it, and then you begin to rip those sheets of paper up, hold them in the fire, and then just remind yourself to let it go. And just that very powerful routine of doing that, you finally let it go. Because you're forcing your brain to process something that you normally wouldn't process. But it's a very private, like, mentally...
It's extremely cathartic.
Yeah, exactly. And
like, it's one of those things
it's cool.
Building new connections. Like, in your brain. Which is hard to do sometimes, particularly when you're dealing with that kind of...
Yeah. So
I feel like...
you know, things like that... It's real magic, but also not regular. It's not like magic.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I actually really like that kind of stuff because it's almost like meditative practice.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really
meditation's also a form of witchcraft. So
yeah, whatever. Like, let me just restate this just so I don't get hate now. Whatever you do to like make yourself feel better is a good thing. Like, whether it's spirituality or doing that, or like, I sometimes like to go to driving ranges and I'll take a golf ball and I'll name it after something that I hate at the moment, and then I'll put it down there and I'll try to hit it as far away from me as I possibly can.
Oh, that's nice.
Like, it's one of the things, whatever you do to help you get by, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Like,
whatever anybody believes is cool beans. Like,
you know,
kind of neat. I almost wish ghosts were real. Like, I almost wish this stuff was real. It would be badass.
So
like, I want to believe.
You agree with modern magic and modern witchcraft? It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I would actually.
I
that's kind of dope.
Don't think that I would either because of how do I put it? I didn't think that I would understand it at all because it seemed like it was going to be really attached to a lot of spirituality and stuff.
Yeah, and these spells working, or there being some sort of like
genuine
magic that is happening.
It's genuine magic.
It's brain magic.
Yeah, and we don't understand brains at all, so in my opinion, it could be, there's so little about the brains that we understand. It's essentially magic at this time. Like, if we went back in time 100 years and we were like, hey, look at this tiny little brick that's in my hand. It holds this thing called the internet. And from it, I can gather and answer any of your questions that you've ever had. And I can answer
There are still people that are just like, what? and freak out about that.
Exactly. And so it's just like, eventually, maybe that will never be considered magic. We'll be like, oh, yes, that's just psychology. And that's like, we understand we need our brains to process things by, routinely addressing them. And maybe we'll understand that completely and we'll understand the process of it and mental health will be so much better. But at this point in time, it's just like magic. It's magic. So I just thought that was really cool. But
it is.
I'll be happy to give you a tarot reading anytime, JessPlayin.
Hell yeah, I love that.
I have to say, have you ever heard my explanation of tarot reads? Tarot readings? Okay.
I did get to see, so like the day you were doing the tarot readings, I got to hear your explanation, and then I saw a couple other people's, and then Satiric was like, he DM'd me and was like, oh, she did one for you, and here's your result. And I was like, I was not there, because I was at work or something. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to try and find it.
It's just like, I always think of tarot readings. Like, obviously, you mentioned psychics. I don't believe in psychics. I don't think they're real. I think people that are psychic, quote unquote psychic, are just very good at reading people. And they're very good at understanding people's tendencies and, just how people typically act. Like, they're very good at parsing information.
And picking up cues.
Yeah, picking up cues. They would be great behavioral scientists. Like,
there's a great thing if you're super interested. A lot of it is neurolinguistic programming, which people use for things like pickup artists and stuff too.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like,
I've seen programming.
Oh, I feel like you're going on a trip soon, and it's one of those things where based on if they kind of smile a little bit, that they are kind of traveling, and then you can kind of ask more specific questions. If they nod really big, then you can be like, oh. So you're going on a big trip. It's something that you've planned, it's it. And then you do more specific questions based on like body cues and other stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like, it's really neat.
I've always thought that was really, really neat. What was I going to say? I don't remember. My brain was going off in a brain trip. I was on a trip just now to my cerebellum. Oh, I was going to say, with tarot, it's kind of the same way. However, I will say, at some points, tarot is not vague enough, and you can completely fuck up a reading. Like, for instance, if there's someone that I know, let's just use one of my friends, for example. I'm going to call her Mary. Mary is not her actual name, but Mary is a goth, and she's a badass. I know that Mary is never planning to have children. She does not like kids. She doesn't even want to be pregnant. So I just know that she's a badass, and that's just her lifestyle, and those are her current choices in life. She can change them if she wants to. But if I did a tarot reading for her, and I happen to get a lot of like union or family cards, I'm not going to attribute that to possible, even if it's like a fertility card or like the Empress card or anything like that that's very motherly or maternal. I'm not going to attribute it to her maternalness. Maybe I attribute it to her mom, or maybe I attribute it to a person that she looks up to that's a really strong female figure. But not specifically her. And I'm not going to be like, oh, you're going to have this many kids. Like, that's not how that happens at all. So it's just like, sometimes if you don't know the person well enough, you can completely fuck up a reading. Like, just utterly and completely. Like, the other day, I gave a reading to someone. It was her birthday, and I thought I was gonna like really sound awful when I was saying like, oh, the last card indicates that you're going to be coming into a new romance after this certain trial, this tribulation that you're going through, this struggle, and there's going to be a new relationship at the end of it for you, particularly of the romantic nature. And I was like, oh God, I don't know if that sounds right at all. But then she was like, oh, this does sound very much like what I'm going through right now. I was like, what? Are you serious? And so
I hope that happens during my reading so I can just preach a token out.
It's just like, I get really, when I say something that specific, and I'm like, oh yeah, new romantic relationship specifically, I'm like, I don't know if I want to say those things.
Yeah.
So it just gets a little spooky when it turns out to be correct or close to the truth. So I'm like, how?
That's the thing. Sometimes I feel like I'm kind of, I wouldn't say I'm completely a believer of nothing. I'm doubtful. I'm going to say that instead.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes there's some spooky shit that I'm just like, spooky, scary skeletons. Like, what is that? I don't have an answer for that immediately. Like, we could probably spend some time, but it may just be coincidence.
Yeah.
That's scary.
So I just chalk it up to most of the tarot cards being vague enough to where it triggers a thing in someone, and then they kind of just ignore all the little things that kind of contradict what they are thinking about. You know what I mean? I just chalk it up to that. It's just, I really think tarot cards are a great psychological tool. I think it really helps people process stuff. And I think that's all that, new agey stuff is about. It's all about helping you process like the things that you're going through. And I think unhealthy new age stuff is like not so much helping you process mentally, but helping you escape mentally.
Yeah.
So it's always a fine line. It's just...
It always is.
It's interesting. So wait. You were saying there was the Benjamin Harris house, and then there was the library. And then, so you don't have any stories about cryptids up in your area?
No, not really.
Because I swore that there was...
Let me see.
Yeah, there is. There's Hoosier. Okay, wait, how do I say it? Hoosier? Oh.
Hoosier? Like the guy that made Take Me to Church?
No. Hoosier. Like the Hoosier. It's in Indiana. Hoosier.
Oh, Hoosier?
Yeah, Hoosier.
Like
that
what
is
we are?
That's not the word that I was looking for.
Is it this pig-human hybrid thing that apparently somebody is saying that was spotted in Indiana?
Oh,
are there any Indiana?
I was going to say that the reason why I asked you if you believed in Bigfoot is because Bigfoot's home is considered to be the Hoosier state. Like,
oh yeah, no.
They believe that that's where the wild men, quote unquote, that's where they live. Like
the wild men.
Yeah, and other than like, so they think that Bigfoot is pretty much chilling in Indiana, Pennsylvania, up there, right around like that longitude. Is that what goes up and down, or is it latitude? I don't know. In that sort of climate up there, they really think that Bigfoot is just like he likes that area.
I don't believe so. I don't think he's running around in our corn fields just chilling out. Like, I feel like he's so large. I feel like at this point someone would have found him, right? Like, there's so much.
Well, there is surely so much. But like, do you know where Boonville is? Boonville?
Yeah.
Indiana. So in Boonville and in Carroll County, there was two separate sightings of Bigfoot. And so one was of a small Bigfoot, a child Bigfoot, if you will. They called him specifically the wild child. And several hundred people went out after this sighting, and they like went out to try and find this person, this male child. And they just said that it was an extremely unusual amount of hair on this child, which is why they called him the wild child. And they were like, wow. They think it was a small Bigfoot. But then again, in Boonville, Indiana, they were like, there's definitely a monster hairy ape thing. And like some people were even going so far to call it like a cross between a gorilla and a sloth. Like that's what it looked like.
Oh my god.
And so
I want to go find this.
It was
I love sloths.
It wasn't even that they reported sightings in Boonville, but one time in an article they said that it mauled a police dog so bad that the dog had to be shot and put down.
What the hell?
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Like, okay.
Oh god.
That would be freaky.
And then in Thorntown, Indiana, the same thing was happening. So they had a rash of sightings of large, hairy humanoid animals. And there was like nearly 30 sightings, and different like people came in and reported, and they were like, yeah. And so in Thorntown, they had what they called the Thorntown gorilla. It's crazy.
That sounds like an Edgar Allan Poe story that got cut. I'm so excited.
Well, they started like creating a safari club so that they could go hunt it, which is really crazy. I don't know. But then after that, okay. So like that's not the only thing that's in Indiana, right? That's just one of the cryptids. And I will tell you, I don't want to like scare you or anything, but like one of the largest conventions for cryptozoology is in Indiana. Alongside
I know what I'm going to next time.
We
should go. You should come, and we should go to the cryptozoology thing.
No idea how hard I want to go to Gen Con. It's like completely erect, more than a BJ, more than a ghost BJ even. So other than Bigfoot, there's also mermaids. And isn't that weird? Because you don't have any land.
We have like a couple beaches, I think, right? I think we have like a beach.
On the Ohio River near, I don't know how to say this city, Vevey.
Oh, okay.
Vevey, Indiana. Why did you say it like that? Like, oh, that's.
I feel like I knew that. We had a whole thing about Ohio facts recently, and I believe that came up.
Oh, really?
So I'm assuming it's Vevey.
So it wasn't so much a mermaid as a mud maid. Like it was mud mermaids that had taken up residence on a sandbar in the
Little
Ohio
Mermaid
River.
has fallen on hard times. I'm sorry,
Do you
Ariel.
think that all mermaids know each other? Do you think it's just only Ariel that's out in there?
Well, I mean, no. I would think that if mermaids exist, then they wouldn't know each other. Because, I mean, not all humans know other humans. So if they would know, I'm assuming, the mermaids in their area.
You're right. And what if it was like their southern
Ariel,
cousin?
Yeah, probably that. Like, they would be related. Like, oh, you know.
I should mention that in the Indiana State Library, there is microfilms of everything that they reported on mud mermaids.
I need to go to the Indiana State Library and look up mud mermaids. I really hope that Ariel is like their Cher, like she's like a celebrity.
Oh my god.
And they just like worship her. Like Ariel is the Beyonce of mermaids.
But yeah, in both, what did they say? In Vevey, Indiana, and in Logansport, Indiana, newspapers reported that sightings of 2 mud mermaids had started. And they had started and had continued for like 4 or 5 years. And it said, this is how they're described. The beast is about 5 feet in length. Its general color is yellowish. The body between the 4 legs resembles that of a human being. Back of the hind legs tapers to a point. The extremities resemble hands and are webbed and furnished with sharp claws. They are completely devoid of hair, and its ears are sharp-pointed and stand up like those of a dog. So it had they were calling all 4, like the arms and the legs, 4 limbs, but the back, the 2 legs tapered to a point. Interesting.
So not even like a fin like you normally see mermaids.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so crazy.
Just straight up a point, like almost like a spear, like a human spear.
Yeah. But
I really need to know more about mud mermaids. This is going to be a problem now. Like, this is why I don't end up doing research into these kinds of things, because then I'm like, I need to know every single detail about them. I did look. Did you see, as soon as you said cryptozoology in Indiana, I Googled it. And did you see anything about the beast of Busco?
The beast of Busco.
Apparently, in Indiana folklore, the beast of Busco is an enormous snapping turtle, which citizens claim to have seen in 1949. Just a giant turtle.
I mean, okay, to be fair, I've seen fucking huge turtles. You know turtles don't stop growing, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm pretty sure they just saw a giant turtle.
Yeah.
And just freaked out. Like, that's the level that we were at.
For those of you
just
listening,
like, there's a big-ass turtle.
If you didn't know, turtles will literally keep growing and growing and growing, and they don't have a stopping point. Like, as long as they can eat, they'll keep eating, and they will just continue growing. It is absolutely the most insane. My brother had a turtle, and he had gotten it, and it was, like, smaller. It would fit in the palm of his hand. And then he started feeding it, and he kept feeding it, and feeding it, and feeding it. And then it outgrew, it's like, they got it like a 20-gallon tank, and it outgrew that tank. And then it outgrew, like, this lake that they had made in their backyard. Not like a lake, but like a, you know how people can have, like, koi ponds and stuff?
Yeah.
It outgrew that. And then it outgrew, oh my God. I saw it, and they were like, we have to give this away now because he's too big, and no one can keep him. And so, oh my God. I'm pretty sure he's probably as big as the Busco beast or whatever. Busco? Is that Busco?
It was the beast of Busco.
Busco.
I really like this sentence, though. It's like, the story starts in 1898, when a farmer named Oscar Fultz supposedly saw a giant turtle living in the 7-acre lake on his farm near Churubusco.
Yeah, man.
He told others about it, but eventually he decided to leave it alone. Like, that's it. Like, it's just like, what?
I wouldn't, oh my God, I wouldn't even touch, like, I would pet the turtle that my brother had for a while, and then, like, once it got too big to be in its tank, I was like, nope, because if he bites me, he's taking an entire finger. Like,
like, the large turtles, particularly large snapping turtles, I love them, but I worry.
Yeah,
so I'm like, they're gonna bite my finger off. And
yeah. Absolutely insane that it's like, whew, I don't want that. No.
I'd rather have a mud mermaid.
Oh my God, so much more. I'd much rather have a mud mermaid. That sounds awesome. You know what I mean? Just like have it just completely, I don't know. I just like to have something at my beck and call, but that's because I'm crazy.
I just really, like, I just saw some of the mud mermaid pictures, and they're amazing. Like, this happy face of somebody, like, they made the happiest mud mermaid I've ever seen, and I need to send it to you. And then there's also the Welcome to Churubusco sign. It's known as Turtletown, USA, and it has a turtle with a little sailor's hat on it. I'm going to send this to you in case you want to, like, include this.
Yeah.
So people can see the beauty.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Jesus. So, yeah. I just wanted to know, because, yeah, like, Indiana has a CryptidCon, and I was just like, yeah. And I wonder if Jess is into this weird, strange thing.
I am now. Annual attendee, just created in a matter of minutes.
You've got a member for life. Indeed.
You made me a believer in both magic and giant turtles.
I mean, giant turtles is that really anything to be like, what?
I already believed in that.
You know,
I already wanted that.
It's like, did I really change your mind on those?
Yeah. I went from a believer of nothing to like, I need to get a mud mermaid.
Yeah. I'd like a pet mud mermaid, unless it can talk, and then I don't want to enslave something that can talk. That would just be annoying.
Like a sloth that's also an ape. Really, one of my dreams.
Oh, wow.
Because I like monkeys, and I also like sloths, so that's just...
A monkey sloth, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you...
The best of both worlds.
Oh my gosh, I just have to read you a meme really quick. I don't know if you've looked in dank memes lately. I have a thread of memes. And this one is titled Creation of the Anteater. And so God says, okay, so the sloth was a big hit. Let's work off of that. The first angel says, what if it could carry its offspring on its back? God says, okay, that's kind of weak, Sharon, but we'll add it. And then the second angel says, what if it could massacre entire ant colonies with a long-ass tongue? And God says, there it is. I fucking love that. And anteaters are adorable. Oh my god.
They are. They're so cute.
But
they're so cute but deadly.
They are. Well, I'm glad that I could change your mind about magic. I'm gonna do that with everyone now. That's gonna be my. If they don't already believe in magic, they're gonna do it. I can be successful at this.
That can be like your question. You know how Stephen Colbert, when he had the Colbert Report, he was always like, "Is George Bush a great president or the greatest president?" That could be like your thing. Like, do you believe in magic? You're going to now, and then like.
I actually have like a question that I'd like to ask.
Yeah.
During like. Each podcast, but we don't always have guests on. Like, this has been a special occasion for the past 3 weeks because I was gone to London and Scotland, and I'm never leaving for that long again. But I do have a question that I'd like to ask guests. Maybe I'll start with you, and then I'll just continue the legacy. If ghosts were real, JessPlayin, what would you haunt? What is the place that you would haunt if you were a ghost?
Okay, so I have to... Am I able to pick anything up? Or am I like... I just go through things?
You can be as strong of a ghost as you want to be.
Library.
You would just be a library... You would just pick any library? You don't have like a specific library? The Indiana State Library? You just keep flipping it to the mermaid... mud microphone?
Yeah, I just go to the mud mermaids, like... that's a good one. That's a good question.
Isn't it?
I'd probably like haunt one of the like nice. Well, I'd probably pick like a nice library. I'd probably pick like one of the, maybe if I had to pick one within Indiana, I'd pick the downtown library, or I'd pick like one of the ones in England and just chill out there.
I would pick if it were a library. I would pick, the Morgan Library in New York City.
That's a good one.
It's the most gorgeous library I've ever seen in my life.
Because I feel like a library, if you're able to pick stuff up, you could read. You've got other media, like you can watch stuff, because they let kids watch videos and shit.
You could haunt the homeless people that are staying there, trying to just do their own thing and get a job, and you just terrorize them. Yeah,
change their tax information while they're filling out forms.
Oh my god. I didn't even think about that. Oh my god, you're so devious.
Whew. I am. Sneaky. Let's hope I never end up in limbo. It'll just be puns and changing tax forms.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, you could just post memes endlessly on the internet.
Oh my god.
Like Casper Lover 2525, like. Okay, I like that. If I was a ghost with essentially infinite powers. Because I feel like that's the central hub.
I mean, would you give up the power to like be an apparition so that you could move anything you wanted? Like, you'd always have to be completely invisible. Like, no one could ever see you.
Like, I feel like that would be so sad. Can other ghosts see me?
I don't know. I've never asked a ghost that.
Wait, I feel like that's the thing I worry about ghosts. It's just like, that's gotta be such a lonely thing if you don't have any other ghost friends.
Jess, that's really sad. Why are you making me feel feelings today? Just what if they don't have any friends?
What if that's the thing? I feel like it would be, if I go and I tell Shotoken that, he's gonna be like, sign me up. Because he doesn't like people that much. But I would be really sad. I'd be like, nobody can ever see me. But
you could
communicate with people.
I was going to say you could haunt a really old computer and then message people from instant messenger.
Okay, yeah. I was like, I hope I went a different way because I'm not good with peopling. If you haven't guessed that already from knowing me.
What were you going to say?
I thought, like writing out notes to people, be like, will you be my friend? Like, but I'm real needy, so that's not an effective strategy.
Writing a note.
I prefer ghost catfishing, which is essentially what you did.
That's what I would do. 110%.
Yeah. My name's Tara, and I have big jugs, and then you make a friend.
That's just what you went with.
I have big boobies.
Oh my god. So with that, we're done. I think we're good. I think we've done everything that we can.
Yeah.
We brought it back around to ghost sex. That's great. Some sexy ghost times. I hope everyone enjoyed that.
Full circle.
Full
circle entertainment. That's what I'm going to call my production company. Full Circle Entertainment.
There you go. I like that.
Trademark.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad that I
could my shit.
Teach you putting up with your shit. I enjoy your shit. I would happily choose your shit to put in bags versus everyone else and set it on fire on people's lawns that I hate.
Oh, thanks. That's the sweetest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Oh, that's really sad. Shotoken should try harder.
He should, really. Like,
so, if you guys didn't know, JessPlayin is a broadcaster on Twitch. You can see her on twitch.tv/JessPlayin. That's JessPlayin. Wait, A-Y-I-N. I can't spell.
I lose a letter every day.
It's fine.
I'm just going to be Just Plup. One day, that's my goal. Just Plup, and then I'm going to just be Jess. And then I'm going to just be Jay.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for being here with me. I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.